You're walking through life convinced you're invisible, yet somewhere, right now, a woman's heart tightens when your name crosses her mind. And the first letter of her name, it's not the one you expect, which is exactly why this unsettles you. I'm speaking to you as a psychologist who's watched this pattern repeat for decades. Men believe love announces itself loudly. It doesn't. Real attraction hides in plain sight because the female brain evolved to protect desire before revealing it. What you call no signals is often discipline, not indifference. And the woman who feels something for you is rarely the one performing interest. She's the one controlling it. Here's the truth most men are never told. Women fall in love quietly, then test reality before risking exposure. She doesn't flirt first. She observes. She studies how you handle silence, rejection, power, and uncertainty. Your reactions are her data. And if you misread that calm as disinterest, you walk past the very connection you've been craving. You've been trained to chase the obvious, the loud, the available. But female psychology doesn't reward pursuit. It rewards perception. The woman who's drawn to you is often the one asking subtle questions, remembering strange details about your life, or appearing emotionally neutral when you speak. Neutrality is not absence, it's restraint. Let me disturb you further. The woman who's emotionally invested in you often pulls back before you ever lean in, not because she doesn't care, but because she cares too much. Her nervous system is assessing risk. Can you regulate yourself? Can you lead without controlling? Can you stay grounded when attention is uncertain? Most men fail here. They rush, over-explain, or seek reassurance. Attraction collapses not because they weren't wanted, but because they couldn't tolerate the tension that desire requires. This is why the first letter shocks you. Because she doesn't fit your fantasy. She isn't the woman you idealized. She's not the one you tried to impress. She's the one who watched you be human. Maybe she's been in your orbit for years. Maybe she disappeared suddenly. Maybe she shows up only when you're not performing. Familiarity breeds emotional safety, and emotional safety is the soil where love actually grows. You've also been lied to about confidence. Confidence isn't loud certainty, it's emotional economy, the ability to remain steady when outcomes are unclear. When a woman senses that you don't need her validation to remain whole, something ancient in her nervous system responds. Desire doesn't spike because you want her, it spikes because you don't collapse without her. If you're wondering why love feels like it keeps missing you, it's because you're looking forward instead of around. You're scanning for signals instead of noticing presence. The woman who's drawn to you is not advertising. She's protecting something fragile. And the more unaware you are, the safer she feels keeping it hidden. Before this video moves any further, I want you to pause and answer this honestly. Which woman from your past or present comes to mind right now, and what is the first letter of her name? Write it in the comments. Then ask yourself why she appeared in your thoughts. If this unsettled you, like the video, subscribe, and share it with a friend who still believes love only comes knocking loudly. What most men don't realize is that attraction isn't created in moments of excitement. It's formed in moments of emotional contrast. A woman doesn't fall in love when everything feels easy. She falls when her nervous system feels seen, but not consumed. And this is where your past interactions matter far more than your looks, your money, or your status. Let me explain something uncomfortable. The woman who feels something for you has already imagined losing you. That imagination didn't come from drama. It came from meaning. When you matter to someone, the brain rehearses absence as a form of protection. So when she goes quiet, when she delays responses, when she appears to cool off, it's often because her attachment system is regulating itself. She's not drifting away, she's stabilizing. Men misinterpret this as rejection and respond with pursuit. Texting more, explaining themselves, trying to be chosen, and in that moment, something shifts. The dynamic tilts from polarity to pressure, from curiosity to obligation. Desire doesn't survive obligation, it suffocates under it. Here's the psychological truth you were never taught. Feminine attraction grows when a man can stay present without demanding certainty. When you can hold connection lightly, without gripping it, her emotional system relaxes. She feels free to move closer because she doesn't feel trapped by your expectations. This is why the woman who loves you rarely confesses first. Confession puts her in a position of vulnerability without knowing if you can handle it. Instead, she watches how you handle not knowing. Can you sit in ambiguity without spiraling? Can you continue living your life without withdrawing emotionally or trying to control outcomes? Every time you do, you pass a test you didn't know you were taking. Now here's where the letter becomes more than coincidence. The mind anchors emotion to symbols, names, initials, small cues. When a woman associates safety, curiosity, and emotional steadiness with you, even subconsciously, your presence becomes regulating. She feels calmer around you, more herself. That calm is often mistaken for friend energy, but it's far deeper than that. Friendship is comfort without polarity. What she feels is comfort with tension, and that's rare. You may have noticed something strange. She supports your growth, but doesn't cling to your attention. She encourages your independence. She doesn't compete for your focus. That's not a lack of desire. That's secure attraction forming quietly. And secure attraction doesn't chase, it chooses. The tragedy is that many men only recognize this after it's gone, after she's emotionally closed the door to protect herself. Not because you did something wrong, but because you never stepped into the emotional leadership she was hoping for. Leadership doesn't mean dominance. It means emotional steadiness. It means being the calm presence when things are undefined. If you've ever heard a woman say, "I don't know why, but you feel different," understand this. She wasn't confused. She was feeling the absence of pressure, the absence of neediness, the absence of emotional chaos. And that absence felt like safety. So let me ask you something deeper now. Who is the woman you felt most at ease around without trying to impress? And what letter does her name begin with? Write it down, not for the algorithm, for your own awareness. And if this is starting to reframe how you see your past, like the video, subscribe, and share it with someone who keeps mistaking silence for rejection. There is a moment in every man's life when he realizes that the women he lost were not taken from him. They withdrew. And they didn't withdraw because of a single mistake. They withdrew because over time, they stopped feeling emotionally safe expressing desire. This is where female psychology becomes painfully honest. When a woman begins to feel something real, her attraction system becomes protective. She doesn't lean forward recklessly. She leans back to see if you will remain grounded without chasing her emotional availability. This is not manipulation, it's instinct. Her nervous system is asking a question you never hear out loud. If I step closer, will I lose myself, or will he stay steady? Most men answer this question incorrectly. They sense distance and react with urgency. They try to fix the dynamic. They explain their intentions. They demand clarity. But emotional attraction doesn't respond to explanation. It responds to containment. When you try to reduce uncertainty too fast, you remove the very space where desire breathes. Here's the part that stings. The woman who is falling for you watches how you respond when she stops giving reassurance, not to punish you, but to observe your self-regulation. Can you self-soothe? Can you remain present without collapsing into anxiety or withdrawing into ego? Your response determines whether she feels safe enough to continue opening emotionally. This is why the woman who loves you often becomes quieter, not louder. Desire moves inward before it moves forward. Her feelings deepen, and so does her caution. She's not testing your loyalty. She's testing your emotional maturity. And here's the truth men rarely hear. Women do not fall out of love suddenly. They disconnect slowly, quietly, and with grief. By the time they say, "I don't feel the same anymore," they've already mourned what could have been. The silence you ignored was not emptiness. It was hesitation mixed with hope. You may be remembering someone now. A woman who once felt close, but slowly faded. Conversation shortened. Energy changed. You told yourself she lost interest. What likely happened is that she reached a point where expressing desire felt unsafe. Not because you were cruel, but because you couldn't hold emotional tension without trying to resolve it. There is also something important about timing. The woman who falls for you often does so when you are not at your peak. She sees you in transition, in uncertainty, in growth. And she feels connected not to your success, but to your trajectory. But if you don't trust yourself during that phase, she can't trust the future either. This is why the initial letter still matters, because the mind remembers unresolved attachment through symbols. Names linger when emotions were never fully expressed. That letter is not random. It's your subconscious pointing to an unfinished emotional loop. Before you go any further, ask yourself this with brutal honesty. Which woman pulled away when you started wanting certainty? And what letter does her name begin with? Write it in the comments if you're ready to face it. And if this is hitting closer than you expected, like the video, subscribe, and share it with a man who keeps chasing clarity instead of becoming emotionally steady. Now listen closely, because this is where most men miss the point entirely. Love doesn't announce itself in fireworks or dramatic confessions. It arrives silently, invisibly, in small, almost imperceptible gestures. The woman who loves you might smile when you're not looking. She might remember a detail you forgot yourself. She might show up in ways that seem random, but every one of those moments is a signal your mind has been trained to overlook. Here's the raw truth. Women fall for men who can contain uncertainty, who can be present without demanding attention, who can show strength without aggression, who can hold emotional space without collapsing into need. It's not charisma. It's not confidence you can buy. It's emotional discipline. And the men who master this don't chase, yet they are pursued. Think about it. How often have you been overlooked by someone you wanted desperately, only to realize later that the woman you didn't notice was quietly drawn to you all along? She never shouted. She never performed. She simply felt. And the first letter of her name, the one you ignored, laughed at, or dismissed, is where your heart has been hiding the answer. Many men panic when they sense this invisible attraction. They push, they probe, they over-explain, and desire evaporates instantly under pressure. Women's attraction isn't about logic or consistency. It's about tension, curiosity, and emotional polarity. Too much need and the invisible pull snaps. Too little presence and the opportunity dies quietly. The balance is subtle, almost surgical, and most men never notice the fine lines until it's too late. Here's what the most successful men know. Attraction is a silent contract. You don't win it with gestures or words. You earn it with steadiness. When she tests you by withdrawing attention, she's not rejecting you. She's asking, can you remain calm while desire exists but is not confirmed? If you can, the invisible thread pulls her closer. If you cannot, the thread snaps, often permanently. This is why the first letter shocks you, because she isn't the obvious choice. She's not the one you tried to impress. She's the one who saw you, truly, in moments when no one else could. She observed your silence, your solitude, your reactions to uncertainty, and she connected to the man behind the performance, the man most women will never notice. So here's your final truth, the one most men avoid confronting. The woman who is in love with you is already somewhere in your life. She has been watching. She has been analyzing. She has been protecting her desire. And all along, her heart has whispered a name, one you may have dismissed, underestimated, or completely overlooked. Now I want you to do something crucial. Think of the woman who has quietly seen the real you, who noticed your calm in chaos, your strength without ego, your presence without need. And tell me in the comments what the first letter of her name is. Share your answer. Reflect on why she came to mind. And if this video unsettled you, opened your eyes, or rewrote the way you see attraction, like subscribe and share it with a friend who needs to hear this. Sometimes the quiet love in our life is closer than we think, but only those who notice the invisible thread will ever feel it fully.